So we ended off last week, who saved Klal Yisrael? So if it wasn't Esther, who did it? What was going on over there? Who saved Klal Yisrael? And another question I wanted to bring out is why children, children play a very central role, a vital role in Purim, right? And the point we're going to try and bring out today is what the role that children have, what the power of Purim, what is Purim all about? Purim, sometimes the meaning of Purim gets lost in the hecticness of the day, and people, it's a lot of simcha and everything else. Sometimes it gets lost. So just bring out what was going on in Purim, and I think we'll be able to take out a tremendous lesson, and it'll be able to enhance our Yom Tov tremendously. Let's start like this. As we said before, the Nes of Purim is the Nes Nister, right? It's a hidden miracle. That means the events are not clearly stated for us. We might think we're reading the Megillah, and the events look like it's one way. But again, you read it again, the Megillah, and you see, you put in a little bit Medrash here, Mefarish here, Vilna going here, and you see it. It's a different Megillah. And it's not a different Megillah. We reread the Psukim again, we say, hey, it's right in front of my eyes. How did I miss that the first time? It's right there, it's Nister. But when you read it again, it's jumping off the page. We saw last week in the Psukim. It wasn't Esther. Esther didn't do anything, right? She was out of the picture, came out for the whole time, except for that one pasuk there where she almost, blew the whole thing. So now, when Klal Yisrael celebrate, when we have a Yom Tov, we celebrate our victories, right? We generally know what was going on at that time. For instance, a Hanukkah, right? So we know that the Yevanim wanted to convert us and everything, and the situation was so dire. The Ramban in Parshas Vayechi says that if not for the 13 Chashmonaim who went out to battle, that's it. Nishtakhu Torah mitzvahs from Yisrael. There would have been no more Torah and mitzvahs. That's it. That's how dire the situation was. And there was a tremendous victory, the Nes and the Pach Shemen. And we know what the Gzeira was. They wanted to convert us, and we know what the victory was. Pesach, we know Paroi, right? Because the Bris Ben Absarim, we had to go down to Mitzrayim. He enslaved us, and the eventual goal was also to try and wipe us out. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Makkos and Kriyas Yam Suf took us out, and that's what we celebrate. What was going on in Purim? What was the Gzeira? We know what the Psukim say, but let's go into the Gzeira a little bit. And I think in this Gzeira, we'll see something which I think is much worse than even the decree of Tisha B'Av, the Churban Beis HaMikdash. We'll see elements here that are tremendous. It was a very serious situation. Haman really had it in for us. So if you turn to page 1, please, is a Medrash here. And this Medrash, I'm just going to preface and say that this Medrash comes after a very lengthy Medrash. Maybe, if we have time, we can go into bits of that Medrash, which Haman, when he went to Achashverosh and said, let's destroy the Jews, Achashverosh first told Haman, nothing doing. I'm not destroying them. And Haman tried to convince him. They got all the Chachamim from all over the world, and they had a whole conference, and they also said, we don't want to start up with the Jews, nothing doing. And Haman convinced them, etc., etc. It's a long medrash. It's kedai to go into because there's also the children play a central role in that medrash also. But this is afterwards, where finally Achashverosh agrees to wipe out the Jews. Haman wants to wipe them out. All the nations of the world that have agreed to wipe out the Jews. So now Haman knows one thing. He has to not only get us a decree down here. He has the scroll in his hand, but he's got to get up in Shemayim. He's got to get HaKadosh Baruch Hu to agree to wipe out the Jews. So what happens like this? So now if you start in this medrash, we're on that line where it says start. It's like this. Amar Haman la Achashverosh. Haman said to Achashverosh like this. Elokeim shel elu sonei zima. The God of these Jews, he hates lewd acts. He hates zima. So I have a way to destroy him. This is also Bilam's had this same eitzah, how to destroy the Jews. He said like this. Hamed lahem zonos. At this party that you're going to make, bring zonos for them. Va'aseh lahem mishta, and make this mass party. Ugezor aleim, and make a decree on them. Shiavo kulam. Make a decree that they all have to come. V'yochlu, v'yishtu, v'yasu kirtzonim, and let them come and say that this party you have to come, eat and drink and do whatever you want. Shneimar lasus kirtzon ish v'ish. Right, that was the main theme of Achashverosh's Surah, to do like the will of every person, whatever you wanted to do. That's what you're able to do at this feast. This is what Haman said to Achashverosh. You want to destroy them? This is how you're going to get him to do it. And Achashverosh agrees, and he makes a party. We know he made a party for the people in Shushan for 7 days. So what happened? The signs go up on the walls. All the Jews are invited to the palace. What does the Medrash say? Mordechai took a look at this. Kaven Shra Mordechai Kach. Mordechai saw this sign that everybody's invited to the palace to go eat and drink and have a wonderful party with the king. So look how a Gadol Ador views world events with the eyes of Torah. Amad v'hichriz aleim. Mordechai stood up and he announced to all the Yidden, V'amar lahem lo telchu le'echol b'sudasa shel Achashverosh. Do not go to eat at that suda of Achashverosh. Why? Shelo hizmin eschem ki im lelamed alechem kategoria. The only reason that he is inviting us is to just prosecute against us. So that there should be a pischon peh for the midas hadin to come and prosecute against us from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mordechai sees this sign going up. Mordechai says, I'm telling you, I know what this is all about. This is not about government relations, and this is not to make us look better with the king. This is for one reason and one reason only, that the Satan can come and prosecute us against us in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's going to be a gzeira against us. And he's pleading with the people, don't go. But can you imagine the one religious fanatic is standing there telling people not to go? Imagine what they said to him. And the Medrash continues, V'lo shamu l'divrei Mordechai. They did not listen to Mordechai. What happened? V'halchu kulam l'beis hamishta. Every single last Jew went to this party. Rabbi Shmuel says like this, Shmoina Asar Elef Achamesh Me'os, 18,500 Holchu Lebeis Hamishta. They all went, 18,500. V'achlu, and they ate. Vishasu, and they drank. Vinishtakru, they got drunk. Vinishkalkulu. There was a kilkul. Something bad happened. What happened? You can use your imagination. Chazal didn't want to tell us, but there was a kilkul. They went, they sinned. Miyat, immediately, without wasting a moment. Amad Satan v'hilshan aleim l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Satan in Shemayim got up and he started complaining to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'amar lefanav, and he said to him, Rebbeinu Shalaylam ad masai tidbak b'umazu shehem mafrishim levavam ve'emunasim imcha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how long are you going to cling, you're going to stick to this nation that they're constantly separating their hearts and their emunah from you? Imrit Saincha, it should be your will. Abed umazoi mina olam ki inam boim b'tshuva lefanecha. One sentence he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wiped them out. It's not even 70 years since the Churban Bayis, and look, they're going away from you. They don't care. They're not being chazer b'tshuva. They're separating. He said two things: their leiv, their levavam, and their emunah. So I can understand they're separating their hearts, right? Why are their hearts not with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Because you're at this seuda of such a rasha, and so many things are going on. What should a Jew's reaction be to such a thing? A Jew's reaction should be, this is not for me. This is not for me. We don't do such things. Right? But they're sitting there and they're enjoying themselves. And their emunah. Why is their emunah away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So Chazal say that it was this point that the Sultan brought up another aver that Klal Yisrael did many years ago. And that was in the days of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar erected a tremendous Avodah Zarah. And he said that everybody had to go bow down to that Avodah Zarah. And there was big shiloh whether it was real Avodah Zarah, not real Avodah Zarah. But all of Klal Yisrael bowed down except for three Yidden, Hanani, Mishael, and Azariah. They did not bow down. We know they got thrown into the furnace. And the Sultan says, now he's bringing up that Aver to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not only are they right now, but know what happened back then? They didn't stand up to the test. They bowed down to the Avodah Zarah of Nebuchadnezzar. Take this nation out. What do we need it for? In one sentence, the Sultan had it in for us. What's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's response? He says like this, Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says back to him, and please to the next page. He says, if I destroy them, Torah mateheola. What's going to be with the Torah? What's going to happen with the Torah? Omar lafanav. You know what the Sultan said back? Rebbeinu Shalom. Tistapik be'el yonim. You have malachim. Malachim don't make averos. Malachim don't make churban abayis every couple of years. Just be satisfied with your malachim. Forget this nation. And you know what the response was? What was HaKadosh Baruch Hu's response? Did HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, no, I can't? The gam hishva daitoi limchoi says Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself agreed to wipe us out. But at that moment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. Lama li'uma shebishvila hirbesi oisaisai umaisai l'chalakam malem l'ra. Why do I need them? This is HaKadosh Baruch Hu talking. Why do I need such a nation that I constantly do miracles through them, and I constantly do meisim for all those people try and destroy them, and I save them? What do I need them for? The Sultan's right. Ashbisa me'enesh zichram. I'm going to wipe them out. Miyad, immediately. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Satan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to the Sultan, Haveli Megillah ve'echta ve'le'at koloya. Bring me a Megillah, and I will write a decree to destroy them. Now stop and think about this for a second. We were so far away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so far away from us that he said, yes, I do not need them anymore. What's going to be with this world, right? If not for the Jews, what's going to be with the Torah? There's no more Limud HaTorah. There's no more Limud HaTorah. The world can't exist. So I'll have Malachim, fine. What do I need them for? It wasn't just Haman had a decree against us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself decided, that's it, I don't need them anymore. Why are you right? What do I need them for? What happened? At that moment, the Sultan right away went, and he got the Megillah, and Hashem wrote the decree. In Shemayim there was the decree against us, written out on a Megillah. Miyad immediately yatsa Torah b'vigdei almanos v'nasa koila b'v'chilif ne'akadosh baruch hu. Kaviyachol, the Torah itself, the Torah Kadosh itself went out in clothes of mourning, and it started crying in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Malachim, they were screaming and crying. And they said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you're not going to have the Yidden in the world, what do we need to be in the world? And skip the pasuk, and 2 lines down, the sun and the moon heard the decree. They also groaned, they also gave their crying. That the Shemaim's Ki'ilu were dressed in sackcloth. No, how bad was this? How bad was this Gezerah? This Gezerah was bad. This was a tremendously bad Gezerah. We were in for it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had it in for us. With the Sultan, he agreed. Haman got it. Haman knew how to get HaKadosh Baruch Hu upset at us. So what happened? Boy, so at that moment, Rat Eliyahu Zachal HaToiv B'Bahala Eitzel Avos Olam. Eliyahu HaNavi Zachal HaToiv, he was in Bahala, he was in a tremendous tumult. He ran to the Avos, Be'etzel Moshe ben Amram, and he went to Moshe Rabbeinu. V'amar lahem, and he said to them, Ad Masai Avos HaOlam Redumim B'Sheina V'I'atem Mashkichim Al HaTorah Shebenechem Shruin Ba. Avos of the world, how long are you going to sleep and you're not watching the tzara, the great pain that's happening to your children? Why? Ki malachi asharis v'chamu levana v'chachav v'mazalos v'shamayim v'aretz v'chol tzla'amarim boichem b'merer. Everything, the malachim, the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations, everything is crying. And you're just sitting there, you're not doing anything for them. Always wake up. So Amrullah, so always said to Eliyahu, what's going on? Why is the HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreeing to do this? Amar lahem, so Eliyahu said to them, because not only did they go to that Suda, but they enjoyed themselves. They enjoyed doing what they were doing at that Suda. And because of that, there was a gezerah on them to totally wipe them out from the world. So no, what do you think the Avos were going to answer? Amrullah Avram Yitzchak v'Yakov. In Heim Avru Adas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If Taka, this is true, and they were over on the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'nechtema gezerasim, and even HaKadosh Baruch Hu signed them away for destruction, ma'anu yecholim la'asos. What can we do? We're not getting involved. And I think this is even worse than Tisha B'Av. On Tisha B'Av, there's a medrash similar that the Navi goes to the Kivrei Avos and he says, Avos, daven for your children, look what's happening to them. And it says over there that Avram went in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he davened and he said, it wasn't enough that I gave with Yishmael and everything else. And Yitzchak went and he davened in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Yaakov went also. And the Yimaris, until Rachel was there, Rachel Mavakal B'nei, and B'schusa, we were going to be saved. But there, they said they were going to intervene. What happened over here? Our avos, our parents, and how much the parents love their children, with all that love, what they say, if this is what's happening, we're not getting involved. That's it. Wipe them out. These are our children we're talking about, but they said that's it. Wipe them out. Look at what a gezerah is against us. Chazar Eliyahu. So what is Eliyahu going to do? He has one more shot. Eliyahu goes to Moshe Rabbeinu. Hey, Raya Naaman, faithful shepherd, where are you? Moshe, how many times did you intervene on behalf of Klal Yisrael and you saved them? Shenemar lulei Moshe b'chira amad b'peretz l'fanav lahashiv chamas me'ashkes. She says, Matana al-Tzara, Moshe Rabbeinu, help us out. What are you going to do? So Moshe Rabbeinu says like this: Amar lo Moshe, klum yesh adam kasher ba'oser ador. Is there any kosher person in this generation? So Amar lo Eliyahu said, yeah, there is one. There is one kosher person left in this generation. Ushmai Mordechai. His name is Mordechai. So Moshe Rabbeinu says like this: this is the only way we're going to get out of it. Amar Loi Lech Vayidiyai. Go tell Mordechai what's going on in Shemayim. Why? What should he do? Should he go tell Esther? Should he try and bribe the government officials? Should he tell the Yidden, go run away and hide in caves? No. For one reason. So Mordechai can go right away and start davening. Va'ani mikan, and I'm going to daven here, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Unvakesh rachim aleim lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we're going to both daven together, and we're going to be Mavakesh Rachim, and we're going to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for mercy. So Amar Eliyahu said, Roy Nema. Moshe Rabbeinu, Kvar Nichtav Igeres Kollel Yisrael, but there's a Megillah written against him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wrote them over. And Haman also has one that's signed by all of the nations of the world to destroy them. Amar Moshe said like this, the Gezerah up here, Im Betit Hi Chasuma Tfiloseinu Nishmas. If it's signed with plaster, titis, plaster, our tefillos are going to work. However, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu signed it, B'dam Nichtama, if it's signed with blood, Mashahayahu. Moshe said, then even tefillah is not going to help. So Eliyahu answered, Baruch Hashem Amar Lo Betit Hi Chasuma. Well, I don't know what the significance is with plaster or dam. I guess dam is a little bit more of a white tit, I don't know. But he said, it's not signed with dam, it's signed with plaster. Amar Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe said, Leich v'yidiyah Mordechai, go tell Mordechai. Miyad, immediately. Halach v'yidiyah Mordechai. He went and he told Mordechai. Hadu dichsiv, this is what the pasuk says. Mordechai yado as kol asher nasa. Mordechai knew everything that was going on. So again, let's think about this. This was a gezerah from gezeras. We were finished. We were done. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everybody was matzah. We don't want to get involved here. We were finished. What was the only way we were going to break through? Again, not go to Esther, not bribe anybody, not run away, not try anything. There was one thing that Moshe Rabbeinu told Eliyahu: tefillah. Tefillah, tshuva. You have to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to come back. And that's the only thing that's going to save you from what type of decree? Lahashmin laharug la'abed. And just before we go further, it's kedai to think into this gezerah. Lahashmin laharug la'abed. On one day, Haman said, I want to eradicate total annihilation. How is he going to do something like that? Well, we don't think about this. Right? Hitler, how many years did it take him to go through all of Germany? Was it 4, 5, 6 years? Right? That's a long time to go through Germany, through Europe. Haman was going to do the entire world on one day. Lahashmin laharug la'abed, total annihilation, and the Megillah says u'shlalom lavais. Haman wanted to take our money, even burn our money, possessions. There should not be a remnant of the word Jew in the world. How is he going to do that? You're going to find every Jew? How about this guy's on vacation over there? Or this lady's in her 8th month? Or you're going to have to get every single person down. You're going to have to know where they live, what their schedules are. It's a massive operation. There was no internet, no Blackberries, no emails, no cars, no highways, no nothing. Just a horse and buggy, right? How is he going to do something like this? There's something to think about how Haman was able to arouse such a virulent anti-Semitism in the entire world against the Jews. There's a medrash even that gives a story, an insight into what it looked like. You know what the Jews looked like at that point? Medrash says a person came into a store and he said to the Jew, I want to buy that. How much is it? The Jew said it's $5. So I'll give you a nickel. He said, a nickel? I told you $5. What do you mean a nickel? So he said, Jew, in another couple months, I'm going to kill you and your family, and I'm going to own this store, and I'm going to take it for free. You'll be lucky if I give you anything. That's an insight into what was going on at that point in the world. There's such a virulent anti-Semitism against the Jews at that point in the entire world, not just in one region, the entire world. Haman and Amalek was able to arouse the entire world up against us. And how are we going to be saved from such a thing? Eliyahu from Moshe Rabbeinu said, tefillah. Tefillah, tefillah, tefillah. Now if you skip page 3, it's a medrash there that talks about, also I just photocopied it, take a look at it. It's an interesting medrash how Mordechai davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he said, the only reason I didn't bow down to Haman was not for my own honor, was because for your honor I'm not allowed to bow down to him, and how he starts davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to save him. And Esther also, it says that Esther also didn't rely on her ishtadlus. She did what? She also she put on a sackcloth. She started to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a frightening medrash. You go through it and you see that we were talking. It says Evel Gadol La Yehudim. There was an Evel Gadol. There's a great mourning. And I ask you, any type of mourning is not great. Such thing as an Evel Gadol, a small mourning. So the Vilna Gaon says, because every Avelus, what do we have? We have Shiva, then we have Shlosh, and then we have the full year. Why? Because as the Shiva goes, as the mourning goes, it gets less and less and less and less. Here was just the opposite. Every day was another step closer to our destruction. Evel Gadol, it intensified and intensified and intensified. Esther says to Mordechai, we have to break through. You're right, we have to break through tshuva tefillah. Tshuva tefillah. And you want me to go into Achashverosh for whatever the reason, but I'm making a decree also. We have to do one more ingredient here. There's one more ingredient, and that's we have to go and fast. We have to fast. For how many days? 3 nights and 3 days. Laila vayom, laila vayom, laila vayom. No eating, no drinking. Every single person, man, woman, child. This was not, sometimes they had fasts, and you look in the Maseches Taanis, it says Monday, Thursday, Monday. This is no, 3 days straight. It fell out on Pesach. There was no Pesach that year. As Mordechai said, well, it's going to be Pesach. She said, well, if the Yidden aren't alive, what do we need Pesach for? That's it. It says Vayavar Mordechai. There's no Pesach that year. They were Mavatal Pesach. So that's what they were doing. They were fasting. And just think about that, what that means. How do we feel after one Yom Kippur? How do we look after one Yom Kippur? Right? We're ready to plot. And they're going 3 days and 3 nights, no eating, no drinking, no Ramadan, shtick at night, eat, whatever, nothing. Straight through. Take a look, please, at page 4, and we'll see that this Eitzah of tshuva, tefillah, and tzom and fasting is what eventually pierced through the Shemayim. This medrash, which starts by Ois Daled, is the last night of the fasting. This is the 3rd night. And that was the night that Haman had just finished building his 8th, right? His wife Zeresh gave him the plan to go build a 50 amma tall pole and to hang up Mordechai on it, and Haman did it right away, and he couldn't sleep that night. He was all pumped up. He's going to go to the king and he's going to get Mordechai hanged, and he's so excited. He's going to just kill this Mordechai. I can't stand the sight of this Mordechai. And I'm going to finally get rid of him, right? So what happened that night? He can't sleep. So what is he going to do? So the Medrash says like this: He goes with his henchmen, and he's going to find this Mordechai. Now, how's he going to find this Mordechai? So he's walking in the streets, and he sees there are Jews running all back and forth in the streets. Why are these Jews running back and forth in the streets? Because some of them are davening, some of them are going home to go to sleep so they can wake up the next morning and daven more, and they're all fasting, and they're all learning, and they're all doing Ashamnu Bagadnu for 3 days straight, and they're saying they're learning Mesilas Yesharim for 3 days straight, and they're mamish going at it for 3 days straight. And he says, stops one Jew, he says, where can I find this Mordechai? This Mordechai, a rabbi. So he says, you see that big hall down there, that big convention center? That's where you're going to go find him. Go into that convention center. Goes with his henchman, and he's all, well, let's go see what this Mordechai's last night on earth. Let's see what he's going to do. Right? They open up the door, and what is the sight they see in front of them? This huge hall. And in this hall are 22,000 Tinaykei Shel Beis Rabban. 22,000 little Yiddish Yingalach sitting there, and they're learning Torah, and they're davening, and they're doing tshuva, and Mordechai the Rebbe is at the front saying, come on, more Torah, more tefillah, come on, we got to break the gzeira. Now, I don't know if any of you, last time in Eretz Yisrael, I know my yeshiva was right in front of a Slonomer cheder, and you could hear the Kol Torah from these boys when they used to learn. These little Yerushalmi kids at the pay, it's a beautiful thing. You hear this Kol Torah, you melt away. You melt away from this Kol Torah from these kids, and you were talking 22,000 kids. Medrash says like this: he went to Mordechai, and he saw he was sitting in a tremendous base medrash, and there were these tinaykos, these little children were sitting in front of him, and they were all dressed in sackcloth. Sack is sack. Well, you get potatoes in a real sack. They're all wearing sacks. Then they were fasting, and they were learning Torah, and they were crying out, and they were screaming to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what did Haman do? Took a census. 22,000 little Yiddish kinderlach are sitting there in their sackcloth, and they're learning and they're davening. Can you imagine the levels of Kedusha and Tahara that these kids are attaining through these 3 days and 3 nights? Imagine. What happened? Haman went into a rage. Hishlach aleim shal shaloi shel barzel. He sent right away, and he got 22,000 pairs of chains. V'hifged aleim shoymrim. V'amar, and he said, L'machar erag elo hatinoikos tchila v'achar kach esle es Mordechai. He goes over to somebody and he says, what are these kids doing? What are you doing over here? He said, Haman, these children are doing everything in their power to be mevatel your gezerah. He gets so angry, so upset, he immediately gets 22,000 pairs of shackles, and he shackles each kid to his chair, and he makes a proclamation. Tomorrow, before I slaughter Mordechai, your rabbi, I'm going to slaughter all these 22,000 children first. They're the first to go. And what happens? The news spreads like wildfire. Throughout the streets, everybody hears this proclamation. And he storms out, he goes back, and he's all excited. So here's where the women come in. An hour later, 1,000 mamas come back, and they have bread and water in their hands. And they say to them, Banenu, our children, we realize you're now in your third night of fasting, and we're afraid you're not going to survive the night. Ichlu ushasu, eat and drink. Before you die, we're not sure if you're going to survive. You might die from your hunger. V'loi tamusu bara'av. We don't want you to die starving. We want to have the zchus to see our children be slaughtered al pi kiddush Hashem. Can you imagine the simcha in Shemayim of the avos and imos, that they look down at Klal Yisrael and they say, look what children we left over in this world. What sons did we leave over? What daughters that they can say, we want to have the zchus that our children should be slaughtered al pi kiddush Hashem. That'll be a zchus for us, and we want to see it. But we're not done yet. What did these little kinderlach do now? Did they take the food? No. Miyad, immediately. Each little child put his hand on his sefer that he was learning. They said, we're going to make it, we're taking a shvuah for the life of our Rebbe Mordechai. We are not going to eat, we are not going to drink. We want to die from a guf naki. Can you imagine these kids? These kids never saw a Beis HaMikdash in their life. They never saw a Kohen Gadol. They never saw an Aliyah L'Regel. They never saw Nisim in their lives. They were born and bred in Gullus, these kids. And they reached such high levels that they said, no, we want to die al pi kiddush Hashem, but from a guf that doesn't have any physical indulgence in it. We want to die tomorrow al pi kiddush Hashem. Can you imagine the Kiddush and Tahara over here? At that point, Ga'u kulam b'bechiyah. They all in unison, together, they raised their voices in crying. Acha also, can you imagine what a shriek that must have been? Acha also shavasam lamaran. Their screams went all the way up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'shama HaKadosh Baruch Hu kol b'chiyasam kivishtei shas balayla. In the middle of the night, HaKadosh Baruch Hu hears their crying. At that time, Nisgalgalu Rachmav Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Rachamim awakens. V'amad mikisei din, v'yashav mikisei Rachamim. And he got up from the kisei of din, and he goes to sit in the throne of Rachamim. V'amar, and he says, Ma kol gadol hazeh shani shomeya ki gedolim mitzloim. I hear a voice of sheep and goats is crying. Well, what is this? What is this voice that I heard? Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe was waiting for this. Now is his chance. He goes to L'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'amar, he says, Rebbeinu Shalom, Loi Gedoyim, V'loi Tzolayim Heim. These are not little sheep and little goats. Elaketane Amcha. These are the young children of your nation. Shem Shruyim B'Tainis Hayam Shloisha Yamim Shloisha Leilos. These kids are fasting now 3 days and 3 nights. Ulamachar Reitzah Ha'ayev, L'Shachtam Kigdoyim Utzlayim. But tomorrow, the Haman Rasha proclaimed, I'm going to slaughter them like sheep and goats. What happened, boys? At that moment, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Aisan Igrais Shagazar Aleim. Remember those letters that HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself signed? What did he do? He took them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took those letters, ripped them up. No more. And the HaKadosh Baruch Hu started to get Achashverosh off a tumult that night. That's the beginning of Perek Vav, where Achashverosh wakes up. Who woke up Achashverosh? Klal Yisrael woke up Achashverosh. How do we get HaKadosh Baruch Hu off the Kisei Din to the Kisei Rachamim? Right? Rosh Hashanah, we need a shofar. We didn't have a shofar back then. How do we do it? Tefillah, tshuva, Tza'aka, these kids, these Tinaka Shabes Rabban, was what broke through the Shemayim after 3 days and 3 nights. Their tshuva, their tefillah is what pushed us through, and that's what saved the day. This is how we saved. Who saved Klal Yisrael? Klal Yisrael saved Klal Yisrael. These little kindlach saved Klal Yisrael. This is how we were able to break through. Not reliant on any ishtadlus, or we said Esther, not relying. Where's Esther in all this? She's also davening. That's what she's doing also. Not relying on anything. That's how we broke through and broke the Gezerah eventually. You know, there's a Rambam, if you turn to the next page please, number 5. The Rambam in his Minyan HaMitzvos, and he says like this, from the bottom there, it starts a little bit in the black over there, that he's talking about why Chazal commanded us to read the Megillah. How we could have a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, how they could add on. So he says not really adding on, but he says like this, starts 3 lines from the bottom. V'tzivu likros ha-Megillah b'inasa. Why did Chazal command us to read the Megillah on Purim? Kidei lahazkir shvachav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu u'tshuos she'asa lanu, to remind us of the praises of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the salvation that He did for us. V'haya karov l'shaveinu, and that He was close to our calling out to our tefillah. Kidei levarchai, and that's in order that we should bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we should give bracha and lahaloi, and to praise Him. And listen to this. You want to know the reason we read the Megillah is like this. And to let all future generations know. It is true what it says in our Torah. Ki mi goy gadol asher loy elokim krovim elav kashem elokeinu b'chol kareinu elav. Who is like this special nation, Klal Yisrael, that Hashem is so close to us, that what we saw, we were in the worst of the worst. Hashem was so far away from us, and we were so far away from Him that Hashem Himself decided, I don't want them anymore. But what happens when we snap back into tefillah, into tshuva, and we go back to Kadosh Baruch Hu? He's close to us. He will accept us. He will take us right back as soon as we go back with tshuva and tefillah. That is the point of the Megillah. This is how we were able to break through, with tshuva, with tefillah, with tza'aka, with tzaim, not with anything else. This is the power of Purim. That's why Purim is such a day of tefillah. Why is Purim such a day of tefillah? Because this is how the Gezerah was. That's how we won the day. If you turn all the way, I think it's on the back page. I photocopied something. Everybody's more than welcome to take it. Take the whole thing. This is something I got many years ago, but they passed this out many, many years. It says, on Purim, whatever prayers are sent to Hashem by Klal Yisrael are accepted. It's from Dibri Yecheskel. You could read this whole thing. But there's a halacha on Purim that we don't find anywhere else. That anytime somebody comes to ask you for tzedakah on Purim, you just give. You don't ask. Kol ha'pushit yad nosnin lo. Anybody puts out his hand, you give it to him. You don't ask. You just give. You know, kids in our Yisrael run on to BAYT Purim. Just give. You give. Whatever. You don't ask. That's it. Dibri Yecheskel here says it's not only in reference to tzedakah. Whenever Klal Yisrael calls out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever tefillah you say on Purim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepts. It's the same thing. If we give ourselves out, we extend ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He listens. Purim is an unbelievable day for tefillah. Why? Because this is the day, this is what won the day. This is what Purim is all about. Purim is all about tefillah. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu is close to us and He wants to listen. He's ready to listen. He's there. He's close to us. He wants to listen. So, I was thinking practically, there are a couple of practical things a person can do on Purim. One is daven. Daven on Purim. Don't waste out any of the tefillos on Purim. They're so special, they're so vital to our lives, our existence. We all know somebody who needs something. Everybody knows somebody who needs something. I thought maybe it would be, what a beautiful idea it would be. Before the Seudah, wherever you're eating it, you get together with your family and you say, look, we're all going to say a kapitel tehillim for a name. A person needs a Yeshua. And we're all going to daven. We're all going to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu together, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, help out this person. What a zchus that would be to help out somebody else through tefillah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is ready to accept the whole thing. Limud Torah is also, is also important on Purim, because that's what did it. They're Torah and their tefillah. So, everybody, please read this over. Look, if not for our own brothers, what do we in Eretz Yisrael? What's going on over there? Everybody, they all, they need our tefillas. Everybody needs our tefillas. We all know somebody needs our tefillas. This is the power of Purim. This is why children play such a vital role. And there's another medrash, we don't have time for it, but there's another medrash which said at the beginning of Haman's, on his up children were right there to also knock him down again. This is the other medrash that I photocopied. Children play a vital role, and this is why Kadosh Baruch Hu kept this yontif for the children. They play a vital right. Without them, the Mishugasan of the Mishalach Manas and everything else, they get so into it. This is their yontif. They did it with tefillah, Klal Yisrael's tefillah and tshuva and tza'aka and tzaim. And in Mirz Hashem, we should all use out the day. Don't let the day, sometimes the frivolity that comes out from, it's a happy. You got to intune yourself. What's the reason for the happiness? Why are we happy? This is why. This is the power of Purim. That through tefillah, Kadosh Baruch Hu is so close to us, how lucky we are. And if we have this, the mothers back then said, eat and drink so you could die, al pi kiddush Hashem. If we take this with us, we can all say to our families, go eat and drink. Why? So we should live al pi kiddush Hashem. What a lucky life we have to be part of this wonderful nation, Klal Yisrael, with our Kadosh Baruch Hu, who's close to us whenever we call out to him. Thank you.